Bruno Fernandes has become a player which divides opinion. He is without doubt one of the most creative players on the planet, but it comes at a cost. He does overturn possession on an incredibly regular basis. In terms of out of possession, he works incredibly hard, but you do have to question at times his intelligence out of possession, often pressing too high, getting caught out of position, and leading to issues for Manchester United. And I think this is why he divides opinion of fans so much. He is so good at some things, but on the other hand, he just lets the team down a little bit, begging the question, is he the right player for the future of Manchester United? Is he the right man to be the Manchester United number 10, or number 8 in his case? And should Manchester United look to replace him in the summer? Let's try and answer some of those questions. Now, when it comes to the question of is Bruno Fernandes a good footballer or is he a bad footballer, is he the right footballer for United and things like that, I don't think it's actually quite as simple as that. I think there's certain areas where he really thrives and is excellent. I think there's areas where he struggles. For example, to focus on some strengths, in transition he is unbelievably good at football. He is one of the best transitioning threats in the world in my opinion, mainly because of his passing ability. You know, when the opposition are committing men forward, looking to throw their fullbacks forward for example, and we win the ball and we quickly find Bruno Fernandes, his ability to play from here is, in my opinion, probably unmatched in world football. Particularly that pass out to the left-hand side to Marcus Rashford. He's unbelievably good at it. But also his timing of passing, his weight of passing for someone like Rasmus Højlund, and even when he's in these positions here, playing the ball down the outside of the opposition, looking to attack in this way. In transition, he's an absolute joke, and we've seen it for several years now, including this season where people are questioning him a little bit more. But we can see, even in a so-called poor season, just how good he is with his weight of pass in transition. Simply unbelievable. The timing of pass, the weight of pass, it always means that his teammate can run onto the ball. Always take the ball in their stride. Bruno Fernandes in these positions, honestly, I keep saying it, he's just an absolute joke. He is so good. Again, on this occasion, it's a transition. He's able to move away from his man and then play a ball, this time with the outside of his right boot, for Marcus Rashford to run onto down the right wing. Again, it is lethal. It is a lethal weapon to that quickly turn defence to attack, to quickly get the ball in a deep position where you might be threatened, to, one touch, one pass later, you're suddenly in the opposition's final third. That is pure value from Bruno Fernandes. However, in a transition, he does have certain weaknesses. For example, I don't think he is particularly good at carrying the ball. When he's got the ball at his feet and perhaps he's looking to go past an opposition number 6 perhaps. I think these physical players in the league trouble Bruno Fernandes. I don't think he has the upper body strength to protect the ball. I think it does lead to him at times being bundled over a little bit. And I think he's aware of this. I think it's why sometimes we see him try and release the ball quite quickly. Because he knows if he takes too many touches, he's going to get hit by this guy. And basically, he can't ride those challenges. He can't beat those players with a fancy bit of dribbling or anything like that. And it does lead to a player which at times loses the ball a lot in transition. And that is also the case with his passing. Whilst his passing in transition is very, very good, there are situations where he's too transitional. Particularly when those around him are transitional. When you pair him with someone like Casemiro in midfield, for example, who himself looks to move the ball forward very quickly, and then Rashford, who looks to get the ball forward quickly, and perhaps the same for Højlund, for example. When you pair Bruno Fernandes with those players, he becomes more and more transitional. So, as the environment around him becomes chaotic, he becomes more chaotic. However, in general, I do think in transition, he is one of the great players. And if Manchester United want to move forward as a transitioning team, he's probably someone you build around. But is it the same if you want to be a controlled team? That's the question. So before we continue into the video, a quick shout out to today's video sponsor, jerseyfifa.com, the home of all of the greatest football kits. Whether that be the new latest releases or the old classic ones like this, Jersey FIFA has something for everyone, and now you can check it out yourself using the link in the description down below. And also make sure to use code JerseyFIFA for 10% off when you order. Now once again, with Bruno Fernandes being a player that has served us so long, I want to focus on his positives because he deserves that. Bruno Fernandes' strengths against, low blocks in controlled possession are there to be seen. His creativity against a low block, his ability to find a pass out of nothing. That can be a Rabona cross into the box, a ball with the outside of his foot, a whipped cross, or something perhaps, sliding between two defenders. In these positions, he's been brilliant for a long time now, I think. I think he is one of our most creative players in these situations. And again, in a so-called poor season, we have seen him doing this. For example, against Chelsea, we can see a lot of players behind the ball here. This is a position where, most of our players would struggle to really create something. So many Chelsea players between the ball and their goal, where we're trying to get to. So many players in this area, very crowded, difficult to see passes, but not for Bruno Fernandes. His ability to play these balls into the box, again the perfect weight for the player to run onto, just absolutely ridiculous. His ability in these situations is mind-boggling. And against a low block, he can be very deadly because of that. He can also be dangerous against a low block as well because of his ball striking ability. His goal catalogue since he joined the club, and again even this season, is very impressive. His ability to strike through the ball, from range, from distance, finding the ball into the back of the net. Very, very good. And again, it's a valuable weapon. When the opposition are looking to, be deep and kind of make it difficult to break them down, the ability to break them down from nothing is so valuable. And it's something which Bruno Fernandes provides. However, there is a massive negative with Bruno Fernandes on the ball, and that is that he loses the ball a lot. But also that he isn't great at receiving the ball in between the lines. So let's say when our deeper players have it, let's say a Harry Maguire or a Kobbie Mainoo or a Diogo Dalot have the ball in these areas. Bruno's not great at receiving the ball back to goal in these pockets, getting on the half turn, things like that. Now, I guess this isn't perhaps the biggest concern in the world. There probably are tactical structures you can put in place to get around this. What is the bigger concern is definitely the amount he loses the ball. Once again, his inability to ride a challenge, his inability to carry the ball and really stride forward through the midfield, and also the fact that, quite simply, he loses the ball a lot. He does lose possession a lot, roughly 20 times a game in the Premier League. That is a lot to be given the ball away that regularly is concerning. That is 20 occasions you are giving the opposition the ball, particularly in a United side which doesn't recover particularly well, doesn't counter-press very well, doesn't cover ground. It's concerning because Bruno Fernandes is giving the ball away a lot, which is a real weakness of ours, and the opposition teams can exploit that. However, if we actually compare it to some of the other top midfielders which you might look at for this position, for example, Kevin De Bruyne or Florian Wirtz as a potential Bruno Fernandes replacement, their numbers aren't that different in terms of possession lost. There's only about a difference of 3. Now, yes, 3 every game over the course of a whole season is quite a lot, but actually in one game of football, losing possession just 3 more times than the guy we're comparing him to isn't really that bad. It's not that big an issue. So the thing which I think we need to make clear is that it is okay for a creative midfielder to lose the ball. It shows to me that a creative midfielder is trying things. This player should be given the license to try things in the final third of the pitch, take risks, because it's high risk, high reward football. I think the problem is perhaps the structure he is within and the direction perhaps which the club wants to move in. And I think what we have to do is ask the question, Bruno Fernandes loses the ball a lot. And as a result, United are a very transitional team, in and out of possession. That's the viewpoint which a lot of people have. What we have to question is Bruno Fernandes the cause of us being a transitional team, or is he essentially the effect? So because we're transitional, Bruno plays in that way, or because Bruno plays in that way, we're transitional? That's what we've got to question. And this is why I think it's not as simple as, yes, he's right for us, no, he's wrong for us. I think it really depends on the structure around him and also what you want to do with the team moving forward. If you want to be a side which transitions on a regular basis, Bruno Fernandes can absolutely be one of the players you want because his passing in those situations is unbelievable. So if you want to play a quick transitional game with a lot of runners in front of you, Bruno Fernandes is great because of those passes forward. However, if you want to play a transitional game where you want to carry the ball and drive forward through the pitch, then perhaps Bruno Fernandes isn't your man because we know just simply he isn't very good at carrying the ball forward. And it's the same in settled possession as well. He can be the right player for you as long as you get the right things around him. If you have a Casemiro with him who looks to fire the ball forward a lot, and you combine that with Bruno Fernandes who fires the ball forward a lot, it's a problem because that just leads to constant turnovers. It's a real issue. However, if you suddenly put a retention-based midfielder behind Bruno Fernandes and Kobbie Mainoo with them as well, suddenly I think you can get away with Bruno Fernandes being a bit more audacious with his passing, shall we say, and a bit more risky with his passing in the final third. I genuinely do believe it's all about the structure. People keep asking me, should we sell Manchester United? And it's fully dependent on Erik ten Hag. If, for example, you signed a number 6 for this position here, who is very good on the ball, keeps the ball for his side, doesn't play forward too quickly, but also physically is very good. If you improve our rest defence, our counter press, meaning that when we lose the ball, we win it back much quicker, and in general we lose the ball less because we have better players in deeper phases, suddenly Bruno Fernandes isn't a problem. He's not going to be as good as Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne's a more rounded footballer. He can carry the ball, he's a better runner, things like that in possession. So Bruno Fernandes isn't the same comparison. He's also not the same as Florian Wirtz or Musiala because he doesn't carry the ball in the same way. However, you can play a system where Bruno Fernandes is very effective for your side. It's a myth to say that you can't control the ball with Bruno Fernandes. You just got to make sure he isn't too deep. You know, if he's in these positions here, losing the ball 20, 30 times a game, you've got a problem because it's in more dangerous areas where we can be hurt on the counter-attack. If he's losing the ball in these areas, perhaps actually having less touches of the ball, but being further up the pitch. Again, a bit like Kevin De Bruyne is used at Manchester City. I know they're not the same player, but it's a comparison which is often made. De Bruyne is pushed very high up the pitch for City because he loses the ball a lot. So they put him in areas where he's going to lose the ball with, you know, attempting killer passes. That's what we should do with Bruno Fernandes. So it's about getting the right players around him. In terms of now till the end of the season, we're going to see some weird Bruno performances because I would imagine Casemiro and Kobbie Mainoo will be the rest of the midfield. Meaning, with Casemiro's direct approach and his inability to cover ground, it means that Bruno, for one, is going to have to cover a lot of ground out of possession, do a lot of work, which means he will fatigue and make bad decisions, but also he's going to be very transitional because Ten Hag is set up to play in that way at the moment, and so is Casemiro. So the way to measure Bruno from now until the end of the season isn't on his pass completion numbers. Yes, I would like to see an increase. I think that's important, but it's not the most vital thing in the world. And actually, I just think, as much as we want it, it might be unrealistic this season because of how Ten Hag is setting up. I don't think Bruno Fernandes is the problem for Erik Ten Hag's setup. I think Erik Ten Hag's setup is the problem for Bruno Fernandes. And that's the key difference. I think genuinely that is the key difference. Now, that's not to say Bruno Fernandes is perfect. You know, he has big parts of his game he needs to work on. He needs to work on his ability to change the tempo of a game. When his team is being too transitional, he needs to be able to put his foot on the ball and slow down a little bit. He also needs to work out of possession as well. In terms of intensity, flawless. He works incredibly hard. But he needs to be better at pressing. His timing of the press, his pressing triggers and things like that, not getting caught out. He does this thing which we call antici-press, which is like an anticipation press. He does that all the time. He'll like dive in one side, the other player just rolls him completely and runs away with the ball, and he looks a little bit of an idiot. Those things need to change. So Bruno Fernandes is not perfect. Should a big offer come in the summer, you know, 100 million from a random league, then potentially accept it. However, again, I don't think Bruno Fernandes is the problem with Ten Hag's tactics. I think Ten Hag's tactics are the problem with Bruno Fernandes. And I think there was a key difference. I still don't think he's the perfect player, though. I just want to make that very clear before you guys ridicule me in the comments. Speaking of the comments, let me know your thoughts. Is Bruno Fernandes the right number 10 for the future? Or not? Is he something which we should upgrade on this summer? Or not? For me, I'm probably looking in 18 months we upgrade. Or we change profile. You know, you might want more of a ball carrier, but for me, I think we can find those solutions a little bit deeper. A player next to Kobbie Mainoo perhaps should be our ball carrier. We've even seen that Kobbie can do it. So I think those are the solutions. It's about building the right midfield. In a chaotic midfield, Bruno Fernandes looks chaotic, and he's in bad form. Let's make that clear. He is in bad form at the moment. There's no defending that. But he's in a very chaotic side. I think he can thrive in a controlled side with him being the chaos. With him being the maverick of the side. Like Kevin De Bruyne is for Manchester City. Again, they're not the same player, but you get what I'm saying. The main creator, the chief creator. Bruno Fernandes can play that role in a controlled side. It's about what's around him being correct. Is Erik Ten Hag going to try and do that? I don't know. Not too sure, because we've seen he likes a transitional approach, which means Bruno Fernandes might frustrate us at times because it means he's going to be cannoning the ball forward all the time. But again, what I want you guys to always think about is it Bruno Fernandes making the decisions, therefore negatively affecting Ten Hag's approach, or is it Ten Hag's approach making the decisions, therefore negatively affecting Bruno Fernandes? There's a key difference there. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, though. Again, I'm probably going to get a little bit of stick for this because perhaps I've sat on the fence a little bit. I do just genuinely think it depends on what way the club goes in terms of off the pitch, on the pitch, tactically, the manager, all things like that. It's a real 50-50 for me this summer, I think. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But apart from that, we are finished for today. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.